Hi, and thanks for joining the SJ Child Show. The SJ Child Show brings value to families through education and resources. But the SJ Child Show isn't just about me, it's about us as a community. Join me as we help educate and support our community, help bring kindness and love and inclusion to all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch. I really appreciate all the support from all of the viewers and listeners, and I just want to let you know I want you to join me on this journey. Come and follow my social media, and let's do this together. Enjoy the show. Introducing Autism Vehicle Home Safety Kits, Emergency Responder, alert stickers, personal profiles with autism needs and a communication board, masks and earplugs, keeping families and emergency responders educated and safe. Get yours today at sjchilds.org. Helping autism families impact their child's developmental milestones through home relocation, community resources, and home designs. For every 3 homes Natalie Castro sells, she funds and designs a sensory room for a community center servicing individuals with autism. She volunteers to coach law enforcement, first responders, and ER nurses how to have a positive experience for individuals on the autism spectrum. Hi, welcome to the SJ Child Show. I'm your host, SJ Childs, and today I have a really great guest, Dr. Robert Jason Grant. I almost just wanted to say it backwards or sideways just for fun, just because I couldn't mess it up any other way. It's so nice to have you here today, and I'm just honored and really excited to bring such great value to my listeners and viewers. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking me. As I was telling you before we started, I love doing a podcast.
Yay.
I don't know what it is. I'll just call it my hobby.
There you go. You have
I
great
don't have
energy and it's
Yeah.
right up your alley. I love that.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and introduction, and then we'll get into those amazing company that you founded and all of that good stuff.
Sure. I guess I should start with my professional credentials and endeavors.
Perfect.
I'm a licensed mental health professional, and I'm a registered play therapist supervisor. And so in my mental health work, I have a clinic in my hometown in Southwest Missouri called the Autplay Therapy Clinic. And it is play therapy focused. So we work with mostly children, adolescents, and their families on a whole variety of mental health needs. And we have sort of a special focus on working with autistic and neurodivergent children and their families, and using play therapy to work with them to help address whatever life issues, mental health needs that they might have going on that they need some help with. And then the Autplay side of it, I guess, is this play therapy framework that I created many years ago, which is an integration of play therapy theory that really kind of takes the most relevant pieces of play therapy theory and approaches and integrates them into a framework that works best for neurodivergent children. And so that has become something that's grown over time, where now I do trainings on Autplay therapy, I've written books on it, I speak about it. And so that has become another piece of what I do in my professional world.
That's fantastic. Do you have any ties to the autism world yourself? What got you started wanting to get, to be an advocate for autism?
Yeah, I think I started wanting to be an advocate for children. And that's what led me into play therapy. And probably some of that came from my own not the best childhood experiences.
Bless
and
the
wanting
parents'
to.
hearts, right? Mom, if you're
Hopefully
listening,
they're
do
not
the best you
watching this,
can,
right?
right? I
We've
know, I
talked
know.
about it. We've talked about it.
Agree.
Um, and being neurodivergent myself, not non-autistic, but neurodivergent, and recognizing probably most of that when I was an adult,
Yeah.
um, helped lead me into really kind of working with those kids in particular. And it just so happened that obviously that includes autistic kids, and really those were like the big influx of kids coming in to my play therapy practice when I started sort of opening up and saying, yes, I work with neurodivergent kids. It was just like all these referrals
Wow.
of autistic kids. And I think a big part of that was, we're talking probably about 20 some years ago,
Mm.
2022. There just were no services,
Yeah.
and certainly not this idea of like a mental health therapy and a play therapy. And I
Yeah.
think that really appealed to parents because everything was very behavioral based. And
Mm.
I think they liked this family play
Yeah.
idea and
Get it
having
out of
those
the
experiences with
clinical
kids.
mindset and more in the family setting.
Yeah, the relational, and
Yeah.
I think that appealed to them a lot. So it wasn't necessarily specifically autism. It was kind of more the general neurodivergent category. But the very first autistic little boy I got on my caseload, and his parents, I mean, I just fell in love with these guys. I tell this story all the time.
Mm.
We just connected in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
I felt a lot of empathy for the parents and the child, and it really made me want to do this more and do it even better,
Yeah.
and really find a way to make play therapy more accessible,
Mhm.
to these families, across the country.
Yeah, definitely. And now how are available or open now?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. A lot. I mean, there's a lot
Yay.
of we call them certified alt play providers to go through the whole program and learn about it. And we've got many across the US, I would say
Wonderful.
hundreds.
Yay.
There's a whole
Congratulations.
list on the Autplay website.
Yeah.
And now there's, I think at last count, there's like at least one certified Autplay provider, if not more, in around, I want to say 16 different countries. So
Wow.
it's a little international now as well, which is
I love
exciting.
that. That is so exciting. Such an important service for families, especially when they're navigating um, better ways to help their child communicate and integrate, strategize behaviors. I think play is so important as being a child advocate. You could, understand for all children,
Yeah.
both neurotypical and neurodiverse. And it's so important that parents want to provide that and foster that place of safety and support and play for those kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
true. Yeah. There's just so many natural healing components to play. And I think that in the past, the lead, there was unfortunately this missed wrong leading thought that autistic children with really high needs, children with developmental disabilities didn't play.
Yeah.
And so thus play is irrelevant to them. And so a play approach would not work for them, which was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they do
Thank you
play.
for proving that wrong.
I mean, they play sometimes just
Absolutely.
like a neurotypical child would
Yeah.
play, but even if they're not doing that, they're playing in their own way. and that play is meaningful to them.
Yeah. And it's so special and important that we recognize that, because each child plays different, each child has a different learning style, and really understanding your child's learning style and helping them integrate that with play. I always tell parents that my personal story of kind of integrating strengths for weaknesses is helping my daughter learn multiplication by letting her do Minecraft, by letting her
Right.
build blocks,
Right.
build the times tables. It's when
Yeah.
you can integrate those types of ideas with your children and be so flexible in thinking and outside of the rigidity of society's like rules and structure, that you can
Yes.
really help um, let these children come to life and really be embrace in their own, like you said, their own play styles.
Right. I love you that you gave that specific example because, I say these things all the time. Who doesn't learn best when they're not stressed?
Yeah,
And who doesn't learn best when you're presenting the information the way their neurotype receives it the best?
exactly.
Right? It's almost so simply logical that
Yeah.
it's like, why isn't this just happening?
Yeah,
Seems so
definitely.
simple.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Well, and what do you see is, like a really important part for the families? Like, what is some good advice you would give a new family coming in on how to start engaging?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think that I have a lot of empathy for families who, especially, um, go into some office, right? And then they just get this diagnosis.
Yeah.
And, oftentimes that comes with, little support, little empathy, little
Not a roadmap, that's
resources.
for sure, right?
And then, to even like begin to on their own, like I think of so many times, when I'm trying to figure something out, I'll go online, right?
Yeah.
And I just think, oh, please don't go online. I mean, just the overwhelming
Yeah.
amount of information, and some of it isn't that great.
Mhm.
It's just horrible, really,
Yeah.
that we don't have a more consistent and uniform system in place for professionals to help parents receive this information, and then know what to do next.
Yeah.
I work always out of a neurodiversity affirming approach. And that just means that, we're going to value the child, we're going to respect them, we're going to give them a voice. We're not going to treat them like, oh my gosh, you've got this horrible thing and you've now got to get rid of it. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I always start there with parents. Like, let's just start with taking away the stigmatization
Exactly.
of what you just heard.
Yeah.
And then we can move forward from there with what therapies might help you, why would you access them, and what does it start to look like as you navigate forward.
Mm. Absolutely. It is. And just from my own personal experience, our son was diagnosed at 16 months old from his pediatrician. Well, not diagnosed, but questioned. That's what made me on kind of start to seek the diagnosis. And it, just like you said, I remember being so like angry at the doctor, and like my child is reading. He's 1 year old. He knows how to read. Like, how can you say this? Like, and
Right.
obviously I didn't have any education or understanding of autism or the huge spectrum that it could be or anything. So I'm just coming from a very uneducated mind. And so I immediately started researching and reading and learning. And now here we are a decade later, and I can give so much more help to parents, so many more resources. But I think it was so interesting when we were going to have our son's IQ tested and we took him to the neuropsych, and he has a photographic memory. And so he uses 99% of his working memory. And during that time, though, it was, going through the ADOS test that I recognized all of the signs of in my husband.
Uh-huh.
And here we are, we've been together almost 2 decades that I've been looking directly at autism and not even realizing or
Right.
knowing what I was looking at.
Right.
And it made me realize how many accommodations I make for this man that I love, that I honor and cherish, and I want him to be happy. And so I don't eat at restaurants because he doesn't like them. I don't, and all of these things that I've catered to him. And it really made me go, okay, wait a second. If these things are all of the things that I've been okay with, not even
Mhm.
knowing that they came with a, label, how could I not offer those same accommodations to my children who now I
Right.
know need those things? So it gave me this special perspective to say, okay, now it makes sense why these sleeping patterns are so erratic. Because guess what?
Oh,
The guy sleeps 5 on, 5 off, 5, it's like all of these crazy
right.
sleep patterns, but nobody gets mad at him. Nobody makes him take
Uh-huh.
medication. No,
Mm-hmm.
he works the whatever hours he wants. He has he set his life up for
Yeah.
his own biological needs, which is kind of amazing. And it made
Mm-hmm.
me want to replicate that for our kids. And I said to him, I know it sounds crazy to the outside world, but we're taking away dinner time, times of food to eat is a ridiculous idea because everybody has their own different biology. And
Mm-hmm.
one kid at 11 might be hungrier than the kid at 12:30 or vice versa. And it's okay. It's okay to
Yeah.
let them eat when they're hungry. Our kids are healthy. They eat healthy. In fact, I joke that my little 10-year-old, she's wiser than most of us. She has, she eats something, she gets a stomach ache. She's like, not eating that again. And she doesn't do it. Like, how
Yes.
many adults of us are, so we're so guilty of that, right?
Mhm.
Of not
Yes.
being able to recognize that we just keep hurting ourselves. And it's so cool that I can just step back and watch
Mm.
her be this individual and not stifle her with a parenting style that, number one, is from the 1970s, right? And number two is,
Right.
it doesn't mean anything today. Those
Mm.
types of values and things, I'm not saying I don't have values. I'm saying my children understand that listening to their body is more important than listening to society's timeframes.
Yes. I mean, you know, start sending that out as a
I'm trying.
recording to
I really
everyone.
am.
I mean, really,
Yeah,
you just nailed it. You know, I'm going to get on a mini soapbox
I
here.
love it.
For all children, this is autistic, non-autistic, neurodivergent, neurotypical. For all children, I would say they're the most marginalized population across the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just start there.
Right.
They have no rights.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And that's kind of what you're speaking to.
Yeah.
You know, as when we get to to be an adult, we look back and go, oh, you know, all this stuff was really forced upon me and
Mm-hmm.
done to me that now I just don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to. So even this sort of myth that well, they're going to have to learn how to do this isn't really true a lot of the time. Like you just said,
Yeah.
I experienced that myself. You know, my childhood was a mess with my SPD. I mean, it was just a mess. And a lot of that was because I had no control.
Yeah.
I was being put in environments and put in situations that were triggering me, no regulation help. And then as an adult, I'm affected, you know, very minimally. And it's not because it went away, it's because I'm in control.
Yeah.
I don't do that and I don't go there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we just don't give that permission to children.
Agreed.
We really don't give hardly any permission to children, again, across the board,
Sad.
but especially with neurodivergent children,
Yeah.
because again, there's just sort of this stigmatization about, well, there's some sort of something less
Mm,
intellectually, so we
yeah.
have to just prod them along, like we're sort of training them,
Conditioning.
and
Yes.
without giving them autonomy.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just love what you said about just recognizing that in your husband and making that connection with your kids. That's really cool.
Thank you. I think so. And I love to spread the word. I know that it sounds strange in a lot of circles, and a lot of societies are scratch their head on like, how could you let your child go to sleep when they want? What? And I'm like, because I homeschool. And when I let them have and be their own happiest selves, they can continually try to learn more, be better, and it I not only see it in you know, in my oldest, who is now 22 and out of the house, and is now struggling with who she is, because during those years we stifled all of that. We
Right.
crushed it down. And so she's gonna, luckily I've already apologized for all this, so
All
she
right.
can she can go off all she wants. No, she was my stepdaughter, and so in a way, like, I kind of felt the pressure, like I had to be strict, and I had to keep her in these boundaries of what I believed was the right way to live, or whatever. I see the error of my ways now, and luckily I've been able to really like adjust that, change it, talk to her about it, apologize, and say, hey, I was just trying my best from what I had. Now I see that that wasn't right to bring with me. And I hope that you can learn from this. And, she doesn't have her own family yet, but maybe she'll have more understanding that she doesn't have to bring it with her also.
Yeah.
And my littlest kids, I mean, they're the happiest little people I've ever known. And to me, it shows that success of
Yeah.
family. I was doing a podcast, and it was great. It was these autistic siblings, and one of the brothers said, oh, when I left for college, the other brother was so upset because he was always home and mom and dad were always bickering. And it just made me kind of giggle. And so I went out, and I said to my daughter, what would you say about mom and dad? Like, when you take a look at the family, like, would you say, like, do you hear us arguing, or what do you? She said, you guys laugh and laugh and laugh, and it is a house full of laughter. What a beautiful thing for a
Yes.
10-year-old to see. And
Yeah.
I can't, what would it have been like to have had a childhood like that, where you
Sure.
just were raised in joy? So, and bless my parents' heart too. I know that they were divorced, and I was an only child. So that comes with a lot of loneliness and identity, and,
Yeah.
trying to figure out if you do belong, where you belong, kind of a thing. So it took me, like you said, to adulthood to realize, okay, like, this mom thing's going great. I'm good at this. And then I wrote some children's books, and hey, I'm good at this. And now I can do this. I'm good at being a podcaster. So it just keeps growing and growing. And I think the passion that you show your kids you can have for them and for your own life is just, yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And I think, for this thought kind of popped into my head, for people who might be listening, it's what we're talking about is not an absence of parenting,
Yeah,
not at all. This, what we're talking about, requires a very active
definitely.
parenting. We're talking about, helping kids navigate in the way that works best for their system. You can do the opposite. You can force them into places and environments. And what's going to happen is you're not really teaching them
Mm.
something, you're dysregulating them,
Yeah.
and you're possibly creating anxiety and depression. And then
Yeah.
they're going to be in my clinic as an
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah. Right.
Um, And so we're really talking about a very mindful way of parenting that supports the child's self-worth and their identity and helps them feel good about themselves. It's not a silly, hands-off kind of parenting.
Right.
Sometimes when I talk about these principles, people seem to kind of take it that way. Like, well, you're just not doing anything and teach them anything and helping them get anywhere. No, it's actually quite the opposite. You're teaching them a lot.
Yeah.
And the more you can teach them to have a very healthy interpersonal self awareness, that is so much bigger, so much more important than learning how to navigate their way around a grocery store.
Yeah.
They can do that. They can figure that out as an adult
Yeah.
within 10 minutes. That
Exactly.
is not a big deal. But if they get to adulthood and they have no healthy sense of self,
Mhm.
that is going to be a big struggle
Yeah.
in adulthood.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, and it's funny too. I love that you said that because it doesn't not come with challenges. It's not that our kids are, yeah, they're happy, they're laughing. They still have meltdowns. They still
Right.
have autism. They
Right.
still have overloads. Where our daughter is much more kind of like her dad. She is very I hate functioning labels, but she just has a lot more opportunities and can be in more social circles than her brother who can't navigate those types of circles. And so with her, it's like we have to continually communicate and help her to regulate because there are times where she'll be with friends and it's been too many hours of play and she's just completely meltdown. And you at what, from an outside perspective, they would say, well, what a brat. She's just been able to play and had all this time, and now she's in the house stomping around. But what I see is a child who was masking the whole time, who was
Mhm.
trying to fit in with her friends, who was trying to navigate these circles of trying to identify your own opinions as worth. And
Mhm.
because kids laugh at the silliest things, and then some kids get their feelings hurt over things, and it's just really overwhelming. And so we, instead of, you're grounded, you can't go back out and play, this is crazy, we just say, hey, when you're ready to talk about this, like sit in your bed, watch your movie, like put your headphones on, do whatever you need for a few minutes, then let's talk, and yeah, kids don't love to talk things out. It's like the most
Right.
boring, ridiculous thing
Right.
ever. Roll eyes, right?
Yes.
However, when she gets into adulthood and she's able to talk things through and
Mhm.
she's having to help pull things out of other people because they don't know how to communicate, she's going to have the upper hand. She's going to be able to not only help herself, help her friends, help her
Yeah.
partner in the future. And I just love that I have such a great partner and husband that really takes the time to, now that he has more of an awareness of himself, and he totally reflects that back for his kids. He gets down on their level. He like works things out with them on the
Mhm.
level they can understand.
Yeah.
And that's so important because when you expect kids to meet you where you're at as an adult with 45 years of experience,
Right.
come on, like you're
Yes.
just doing a disservice to yourself, your family. Not to mention, just like you said, then all of these behaviors are going to start, not
Yeah.
because they're intentions, but because they're reactions to the way you have made them feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
I agree with all that. And it reminds me of when we do Autplay, it's again a family play therapy approach. So, we value the parents. We have them in there. We want them to be partners in the process, and we want to empower them and give them tools because they are so important in the journey of the child,
Hmm.
and they're the primary
Yeah,
person. They're the primary relationship. They're going to be the primary advocate, role model. I mean,
exactly.
all of it. And we want them to feel like they can be successful,
Yeah.
as a parent, and that they have the tools and the information to really be supportive and helpful to their kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
Agreed.
And it's something that we probably need even more of in our therapies out there
Yeah.
that are targeting neurodivergent kids, is bringing in the parents and working with, the whole family.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I can, it was when going through therapists, it was finally the first therapist who turned around and said, "This is how you can start engaging with him." She opened our eyes as to the fact that, yes, our son needed help and we needed help and we needed to understand the waters we were in, but we weren't going to get there by watching him get therapy. Like they turned around and said, "We want you to start something simple like ready, set, go. Get a ball, run down the hallway, do a high five, whatever it is on the go, and start doing that and practicing, doing that with him." And it was like this huge, like entrance into
Mhm.
being able to communicate with him and him wanting to engage with us and him being excited because he knew something fun was going to happen at the
Right.
word go.
Right.
And it was so incredible, and I'll never forget her. She'll be an important part of my life for forever, and our son's life. And now um I always say to parents, like, find your right therapist, but not only that, make sure you're getting help for yourself. Like, you need coaching too. It's so important, and parents don't know that. They don't understand that coaching for them is just as important for success as for their child. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's a family process.
Yeah.
Having children is a family process,
Yeah.
for all families, even if they're saying their children are neurotypical. It's still, if that neurotypical child's coming into therapy, I mean, this is about the whole family,
Yeah.
whatever's going on. And I love it when parents are able to access that kind of support,
Yeah.
because I think you're right. It's so helpful for them personally. It's so helpful for the family system, for the child. I mean, it's just a gain all the way around.
Absolutely.
And engaging in play. I mean, come on, I'm a huge fan of that. Find those play
Absolutely.
preferences and interests and just dive in there.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about a lot of things I thought I'd never learn about by
Yeah.
just joining in
Oh,
to my clients'
I love
play.
that.
And it's always, so rewarding.
Yeah.
Like, it always has a good outcome when you kind of join them in their play that they're interested in, that means something to them, that they're getting something out of.
Yeah, definitely. It means a lot to them. It builds up their self-esteem and it builds the trust with that parent too. I love when I see that, the trust, the child is like, okay, like this is so cool. When our daughter, wants to show us funny dog videos and we're excited to see them,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yes.
so much better than when you're like, "Ah, I'm busy. I have a
Mhm.
meeting. I'm don't have time for that just dog video." Like,
Yes.
yes, you're an adult, you need to laugh a little, you need to let go and
Yeah.
be in that relationship with that child. Teamwork
Mhm.
makes the dream work, right?
Yes.
Agreed. And I think it's so important that, and I'm sure that you probably agree and advise parents, you know, bring your whole team together. If you have the opportunity to have Autplay, work with maybe your ABA therapist at home or work with your school's, aide that you have and give ideas back and forth, and you really, really create the team, that's how your child's going to have the most success.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to work with, especially the school system,
Mhm.
because kids spend so much time there.
Yeah.
It's a big part of their life, and it can be one of the most, dysregulating environments for them. And sometimes, they're just school personnel who they don't know what to do, or they're struggling because of their own limitations
Yeah.
in terms of supports. So I always love to try to reach out to the schools and offer consults and help and ideas
Yeah.
to try to help them, work with the child and help the day go more smoothly, more successfully for everybody, because that is a big need. And unfortunately, there's a lot of times it just doesn't go well and doesn't end well.
Yeah.
And that's always sort of a sad situation. So yeah, I always encourage that collaboration if you can make it happen. Sometimes, obviously, it can't happen, but when it can, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Try your best. Exactly. Well,
Yes.
it's been such an honor and pleasure to have you on here today and get to know you more. And I hope to stay connected because I just think that you have a great vibe and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thank you for inviting
yeah,
me. Yeah.
absolutely. Before we go, we need all the good stuff. So tell us where we can find you, where we can sign up for Autplay, people that can go in, if there's a website, give us all that good.
Yeah, there is a website, which is probably the main place to go, and it's autplaytherapy.com, AUTPLAY therapy.com.
Perfect.
So really easy. We've got a lot of information on there about trainings, the program, lots of free resources as well that might be helpful to professionals and parents. And we do have an Autplay Therapy Facebook page. If people do that, they can follow us there, and a YouTube channel.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, and I bet that's a really great resource too, the YouTube channel, so they can get parents can get some ideas of what Autplay looks like, maybe start
Yeah.
integrating some ideas into your own home. So thank you so much for what a wonderful, valuable episode and such great information. Thank you for your services you provide for the autism community and just the community in general. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was
Take
so
care.
great to talk to you.
You too.
The SG Child Show, produced by SG Childs LLC. Thanks to all my viewers and listeners for your continued love and support. And thank you to the guests of the SG Child Show. It's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you to everyone who continues to support me. Go to my social media and let's build this community together through kindness, compassion, and education for others.